The notification lit up my phone at 11:47 p.m. Emergency contact alert. Tristan Ashford has been admitted to Mercy General Hospital. I stared at the screen, my finger hovering over the delete button. 23 hours. That's how long it had been since I'd walked out of his family's estate, and apparently, that was long enough for Tristan to manufacture a crisis. The old me would have grabbed my keys and rushed to his bedside. The old me had died yesterday at that dinner table. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I took a screenshot of the alert, added it to a folder labeled Evidence, and went back to sleep. The second notification came at 6:15 a.m. His mother this time. Emma. I don't know what happened between you two, but Tristan is asking for you. Please. He's in bad shape. I made coffee, slow and deliberate, watching the dark liquid drip into my favorite mug, the one Tristan had always hated because it said, "Nevertheless." She persisted. Funny how the things he despised about me were becoming my armor. My phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Another voicemail. By 8 a.m., I had 14 missed calls and 27 texts, all variations of the same theme. Tristan needed me. Where was I? How could I be so heartless? Didn't I care? What kind of person abandons someone in crisis? The kind of person who'd been called pathetic in front of 12 people while they laughed. The kind of person who'd spent 2 years being the punchline to someone else's jokes. The kind of person who was done being the joke. I opened my laptop and began working on something I'd been planning for exactly 847 days. I knew the exact number because I'd started a digital journal the first time Tristan had humiliated me publicly at his firm's holiday party 847 days ago, when he'd announced to his colleagues that I was his charity case girlfriend who he was, helping become a status, real adult. I hadn't known then that I was documenting evidence. I'd thought I was processing trauma. Turns out, they were the same thing. By 10 a.m., Tristan's younger sister, Veronica, was at my apartment door. I watched her through the peephole, pacing back and forth, checking her phone, muttering to herself. She knocked again, more urgently this time. "Emma, I know you're in there. Your car's in the lot. We need to talk about Tristan." I opened the door exactly 6 inches, enough to establish I was alive and choosing not to engage, not enough to invite conversation. "He's fine," I said flatly. Veronica blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "What? No, he's in the hospital. He had some kind of breakdown after you left yesterday," the doctors said. "He had a panic attack because I didn't respond to his texts for 6 hours, I interrupted. "He's done it before, usually when I try to have boundaries." The doctors gave him Ativan and sent him home around 3 a.m. "You can check the discharge paperwork." I started to close the door. "Wait!" Veronica wedged her designer boot into the gap. "How do you know all that?" "Because I called the hospital at midnight using the emergency contact access I still have. I spoke to his attending physician. I know exactly what happened, what was prescribed, and what time he was released. I also know your parents picked him up and took him to their penthouse, where he's currently sleeping off the sedatives in his childhood bedroom." Veronica's perfectly made-up face went through several emotions at once. "If you knew all that, why didn't you come?" "Because knowing someone is fine and rushing to their rescue are two different things. I chose knowledge over performance." "That's cold, Emma. Really cold." I smiled, and I could tell by her expression that it wasn't the smile she expected. "You want to know what's cold, Veronica? Let me tell you about cold." I pulled out my phone and opened my voice memo app. 127 recordings, each one labeled with a date and location. I clicked on one from 3 months ago. Tristan's voice filled the hallway. "You're right. I probably shouldn't have said that about Emma at brunch. But come on, it was funny. Did you see Derek's face?" And Mom finally cracked a smile. You know how hard it is to get her to smile. "Emma's good for something. She's comic relief for family gatherings." Veronica's face paled. I clicked on another recording. This one from 6 months ago. "I'm not going to marry her, Dad." Jesus. She's a placeholder. Someone to bring to events so people stop asking why I'm single. When I'm ready to settle down, it'll be with someone from our circle. Someone who fits. I watched the color drain from Veronica's face as her brother's words, spoken to their father, hung in the air between us. "Should I play more?" I asked. "I have 127 recordings. Would you like to hear the one where he told his friends he keeps me around because I make him look good by comparison?" Or the one where he told your grandmother that dating me was, like charity work, that would look good on his legacy? Why? Veronica's voice cracked. Why did you record all of this? Because I learned something important about your family, Veronica. You all rewrite history. Every single one of you. Tristan would say something cruel. I'd confront him later. And suddenly I was overreacting or misremembering or being too sensitive. Your mother would make a cutting comment. And an hour later, she'd claim she'd been giving me helpful advice. Derek would mock me. Then act confused when I brought it up, insisting he'd been joking around. I pulled up my recordings folder, showing her the list. So I started documenting. Not because I wanted to. Because I had to. Because you people made me doubt my own memory so many times that I needed proof I wasn't crazy. Veronica took a step back. Emma, I didn't know it was that bad. Yes, you did. I pulled up another recording, this one video. This is from his grandmother's birthday dinner last night. I didn't play it, I just held it up so she could see the timestamp and her own face in the thumbnail, laughing while Tristan called me pathetic. You all knew. You all participated. You all thought it was entertaining. I lowered my phone. And now that I've finally left, suddenly there's an emergency. Suddenly Tristan is in crisis. Suddenly I'm heartless for having boundaries. What do you want, Emma? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Just come talk to him. Please. I don't want your apology, Veronica. I don't want anything from any of you. I began closing the door. But you should tell your brother that his emergency contact access has been revoked. He won't be able to manipulate me with fake hospital visits anymore. It wasn't fake. He really was. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, like this video, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. He had a panic attack because his emotional punching bag finally fought back. That's not my emergency to manage. That's his therapy bill to pay. I closed the door, locked it, and returned to my laptop. Behind me, I could hear Veronica making a phone call, her voice rising in agitation as she reported back to her family. I didn't care. I had work to do. The video file finished uploading at 2:47 p.m. I'd spent the last 4 hours editing together a masterpiece, a documentary, really, of the past 2 years. Voice recordings overlaid with text timestamps, screenshots of text messages where Tristan would be cruel, then gaslight me for remembering it. Photos from family events where I could see the exact moment before and after a cutting comment, my face changing from hopeful to crushed. But the centerpiece, the thing I'd been saving, was the video from last night. I'd worn a necklace with a tiny camera hidden in the pendant, something I'd bought 6 months ago when I realized I needed visual evidence, not just audio. The camera had captured everything in crystal clear 4K, Tristan's face as he called me pathetic, his family's laughter, his mother's approving nod, his father's amused expression. And then, in the corner of the frame, you could see me. Quiet, calm, taking it all in. No tears, no anger. Just watching, recording, waiting. The video I'd created was 47 minutes long. I'd titled it, 2 Years of Pathetic, a documentary. I uploaded it to a private video hosting site and generated a shareable link. Then I opened my email and began composing messages. The first email went to Tristan's firm. The managing partner had been at that dinner last night, laughing along with everyone else. He'd been the one to tell Tristan he should upgrade eventually, loud enough for me to hear. Subject: hostile work environment concerns. Dear Mr. Richard Ashford, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to bring to your attention a pattern of behavior that may constitute a hostile work environment at Ashford & Sons Investment Group. As you may know, your son Tristan and I recently ended our relationship. What you may not know is the reason why. Attached is a video containing documented evidence of behavior that reflects poorly on your firm's values and professional standards. While this behavior occurred in personal settings, it involved multiple employees of your firm and demonstrates a concerning culture. I'm providing this information not as a threat, but as a courtesy. I believe you should be aware of how your employees, including your son, conduct themselves and represent your firm's reputation. You'll notice you're also present in several of these recordings. Regards, Emma Chen. I paused, my finger hovering over the send button. This would detonate everything. Once I sent this, there was no going back. Tristan's father, Richard, was not just his father, he was the founding partner of one of the most prestigious investment firms in Manhattan. This email wouldn't just embarrass Tristan, it would potentially impact his career, his father's reputation, the entire family business. The old Emma would have hesitated, would have second-guessed, would have worried about being too harsh, or overreacting. The new Emma clicked send. The second email went to the board members of 3 different charity organizations where Patricia Ashford, Tristan's mother, held prominent positions. Patricia loved her reputation as a philanthropist and community leader. She gave speeches about uplifting women and creating supportive communities. Subject: concerning leadership behavior. Dear board members, I'm writing to share information that may be relevant to your evaluation of Mrs. Patricia Ashford's continued leadership role in your organization. As someone who has spent considerable time with Mrs. Ashford over the past 2 years, I've documented a pattern of behavior that contradicts the values your organization claims to uphold. The attached video includes multiple instances of Mrs. Ashford participating in, and encouraging, the systematic belittlement and emotional abuse of another woman. While I understand that personal behavior and professional leadership are sometimes separate, I believe organizations led by individuals who actively mock and demean others should be aware of who represents them publicly. I trust you'll review this material and make whatever decisions you feel are appropriate. Sincerely, Emma Chen. Send. The third email went to Derek Ashford's startup investors. Derek's tech company had just secured a Series B funding round, and he'd been all over the business press lately, talking about creating inclusive tech culture and building products that respect all users. Subject: due diligence information. Dear investors, congratulations on your recent investment in Derek Ashford's startup, TechBridge Solutions. I'm sure you did your standard due diligence on the company's financials and market position. I'm writing to provide additional due diligence information about the founder's character and leadership approach that may not have been available during your vetting process. The attached video demonstrates Derek Ashford's actual behavior toward people he perceives as beneath him. As someone who has experienced his leadership style firsthand in social settings, I thought you should have a complete picture of who you've partnered with. If this is how he treats people when he thinks no one important is watching, I leave it to you to imagine how he might treat employees, users, or partners when convenient. Best regards, Emma Chen. Send. I sat back, my heart racing. 3 emails, 3 nuclear bombs, all detonated in the span of 5 minutes. My phone began ringing immediately. Tristan. I declined the call and blocked his number. Then his mother called. Blocked. His father. Blocked. Derek. Blocked. Veronica. Blocked. Within 20 minutes, I had 37 blocked numbers. At 4:15 p.m., someone started pounding on my apartment door. Heavy, aggressive pounding that made my neighbors peek out of their own doors. Through the peephole, I could see Richard Ashford, Tristan's father, his face red with rage. Emma, open this door right now. We need to discuss this like adults. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Mr. Ashford, I'm not opening the door. If you continue to harass me at my residence, I'll call the police. You little... He caught himself, but not before my phone caught the beginning of whatever slur he was about to use. You have no idea what you've done. Do you understand the damage you've caused? I understand perfectly. I documented it, edited it, and distributed it. I'm very clear on what I've done. You've destroyed my son's reputation, my wife's career, my business relationships, all because you got your feelings hurt at a dinner party? No, I said calmly, my voice steady through the door. I documented evidence of systematic emotional abuse and shared it with people who should know about it. What happens next is up to them. And up to you. This is blackmail. I'll have my lawyers. It's not blackmail if I'm not asking for anything, Mr. Ashford. I didn't demand money. I didn't threaten to release it publicly. I simply shared factual information with relevant parties. That's called disclosure. You've ruined us. No, sir. You all ruined yourselves. I just provided the documentation. Through the door, I could hear his heavy breathing, the sound of a man not used to losing control. What do you want? Everyone has a price. Name it. I don't want your money. Then what? What will it take for you to delete that video and send retractions? I smiled at the door, even though he couldn't see me. I want you to go home, Mr. Ashford. I want you to sit in your penthouse and think about every time you laughed when your son mocked me. Every time you participated in making me feel small. Every time you treated me like entertainment. That's not. I have 127 recordings that say it is. Would you like me to email those to your partners too? Because I kept very detailed records. Not just of Tristan. Of all of you. The silence that followed was profound. You're vindictive, he finally said. No, Mr. Ashford, I'm documented. There's a difference. I checked my watch. You have about 30 seconds before I call building security and report that you're harassing a tenant. I suggest you leave. I heard footsteps retreating. Through the peephole, I watched him storm toward the elevator, his phone already pressed to his ear, no doubt calling his lawyers or his family or his crisis management team. I returned to my laptop, where the analytics for my video were starting to populate. The 3 email recipients had all viewed it. Patricia had watched it twice. Derek had made it to the 23-minute mark before stopping. Richard had watched exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds before, I imagined. He'd decided to come to my apartment, but Tristan hadn't watched it at all. That was interesting. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Emma? This is Sarah. Veronica's friend. I don't know what happened. But V is losing her mind. She said you have recordings. Is that true? I didn't respond. Another text. Look, I've known Tristan for years. He's a good guy. Whatever happened, I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. I pulled up a specific recording. The one from a party at Sarah's apartment 3 months ago. I could hear Sarah's voice in it, laughing as Tristan told the story about how I'd failed at learning to ski on our trip to Aspen, how I'd embarrassed him in front of his friends, how I was useless at anything athletic. I sent her the audio file with one message, here's you, being sure it's a misunderstanding. She didn't text back. By 7 p.m., the situation had escalated in ways I'd both expected and not expected. My email inbox was flooded with messages from the Ashford family lawyers, threatening legal action for defamation, invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and half a dozen other charges they'd clearly pulled from every possible statute. I forwarded all of them to my own lawyer, a woman named Jennifer Reeves, who specialized in domestic abuse cases, and who I'd quietly retained 2 months ago when I'd first decided to leave. Jennifer called me within minutes. Emma, I've reviewed the emails. Are you okay? Are you safe? I'm fine. I'm in my apartment. Richard Ashford came by earlier but left when I threatened to call building security. I need you to document that. Write down exactly what happened. What time. What he said. We may need it. I recorded it, I said. Audio and video from my phone. There was a pause. You recorded the confrontation at your door? I've been recording everything for 2 years, Jennifer. You know that. It's how I had the evidence for the video. Right. Yes. She sounded like she was taking notes. Okay, here's what's going to happen. The Ashfords are going to push hard on the privacy angle. They're going to argue you illegally recorded conversations. New York is a one-party consent state, I said. I was present for every conversation I recorded. I had legal right to record them. Yes, but they'll argue you violated their expectation of privacy in their home. Their home where they invited me as a guest, where conversations occurred in common areas with multiple people present, and where I was being actively discussed and belittled. I don't think that privacy argument holds. You've done your research. I've done nothing but research for 2 years, Jennifer. I knew exactly what I was building toward. Another pause. Emma, I need to ask you something important. What's your endgame here? Because right now, you've fired warning shots. But if this goes to court, it becomes public. Very public. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Tristan's face last night. The casual cruelty in his eyes as he called me pathetic. I thought about his mother's approving nod, his father's amused smile, Derek's mocking toast, the way they'd all looked at me like I was nothing. I'm prepared, I said. They're going to come at you hard. They have resources, reputation, connections. They'll try to paint you as an obsessed ex-girlfriend, a scorned woman out for revenge, someone who was never good enough for their family and is now lashing out. Let them try. I have evidence. Evidence can be reframed, Emma. That's what expensive lawyers do. Then we'll see if 127 recordings and a 47-minute video can be successfully reframed as me being oversensitive. I opened my laptop to check the analytics again. Jennifer, I need to go, but I'll send you copies of everything. All the recordings, all the emails, all the documentation. Emma, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I hung up before she could argue further. At 9:30 p.m., my phone rang from yet another unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Emma. It was Tristan's voice. But different. Smaller. Trembling. Please. We need to talk. No, we don't. Emma, please. I'm begging you. Please, just let me explain. Let me apologize. Whatever you want, I'll do it. Just please, take down that video. Delete those recordings. I'll do anything. I set the phone to speaker and opened my voice memo app. Recording number 128. You called me pathetic last night, I said. In front of your entire family, while they laughed. I know. And I'm so sorry. I was drunk, I was stupid, I didn't mean it. You've called me pathetic 17 times in the past 2 years, Tristan. I have recordings of every instance. Were you drunk all 17 times? Silence. No. He finally whispered. You told your father I was a placeholder. You told your friends I was comic relief. You told your colleagues I was a charity case. Were all of those drunken mistakes too? Emma, please. I'm not finished. You told your grandmother that dating me was like charity work that would look good on your legacy. You told Derek that I made you look good by comparison. You told your mother that I was convenient because I didn't demand much. Should I go on? How do you know all of that? Because I was there, Tristan. Present for every conversation. Recording every word. Building evidence of exactly who you are when you think I'm not paying attention. That's insane. You recorded me for 2 years? Without telling me? You humiliated me for 2 years. Without caring. I'd say we're even. Except we're not, because I had to live through it while you got to enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I never meant to hurt you. Then why did you do it? Why did you spend 2 years making me feel worthless? Why did you keep me around if I was so pathetic and useless, and beneath you? The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Because, he finally said, his voice breaking. Because you made me feel powerful. There it was. The truth. Finally. Say that again, I said. Louder. You made me feel powerful, okay? You were so good. So kind. So understanding. No matter what I did, you stayed. No matter how I treated you, you forgave me. And it made me feel like I was in control. Like I mattered. Like I was worth something. So you systematically destroyed my self-esteem to boost your own? I didn't think of it like that. I needed someone who wouldn't leave, who wouldn't judge me, who would make me feel like I was enough, by making me feel like I wasn't? Yes. Okay. Yes. Is that what you want to hear? I needed you to be less so I could feel like more. He was crying now, full sobs through the phone. Please, Emma. Please. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever you want. I'll tell everyone I was wrong. I'll apologize publicly. Just please, don't destroy everything I've built. My career, my family's reputation, everything. Please. I stopped the recording. Tristan, I want you to really hear what I'm about to say. Okay, yes. I'm listening. You didn't build anything. Your father gave you a job at his firm. Your mother's connections got you your deals. Derek's network opened doors. You've coasted on family wealth and privilege your entire life while pretending you're self-made. And when I document that? When I show people who you really are underneath the expensive suits and fake confidence? That's not me destroying what you built. That's me revealing that there was never anything there to begin with. Emma, please. I'm not finished. You had 2 years to treat me well. 2 years to be kind. 2 years to be the person you pretended to be when we first met. Instead, you chose cruelty. You chose mockery. You chose to make me your punching bag while your family cheered you on. Those were your choices. Not mine. I know I was wrong. Just tell me what you want. Money? An apology? What will make this right? Nothing will make this right, Tristan. That's what you're not understanding. There is no dollar amount, no apology, no gesture that undoes 2 years of systematic emotional abuse. You can't unring that bell. So what? You're just going to ruin my life? That's your revenge? No, I said calmly. I'm going to let you experience consequences. There's a difference. You're going to lose too. People will see you as vindictive, crazy, a woman scorned. Maybe. Or maybe they'll see 127 recordings of documented abuse and realize I was someone who stayed too long in a bad situation before finally finding the strength to leave. Either way, I'll survive. Can you say the same? The call ended. I didn't hang up. He did. I sat in my apartment, in the dark, listening to the city sounds through my window. Somewhere out there, the Ashford family was in crisis mode. Lawyers were being consulted. PR firms were being called. Strategies were being developed. And I was ready for all of it. Because while they'd been laughing at me, I'd been preparing. While they'd been mocking me, I'd been documenting. While they'd been treating me like I was pathetic, I'd been building an arsenal. The old Emma was gone. The woman who apologized for existing, who made herself smaller to make others comfortable, who believed that if she just tried hard enough, she could earn their respect. The new Emma understood something important. You can't earn respect from people who've decided you're worthless. You can only document their behavior and let them face the consequences. My phone buzzed one final time before I went to sleep. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Mrs. Patricia Ashford. We need to meet. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. The Plaza Hotel. Come alone. We'll discuss a resolution to this situation that works for everyone." I screenshotted the text and added it to my evidence folder. Then I replied, "I'll be there. But I won't be alone. I'll be bringing my lawyer. See you at 10. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. I fell asleep smiling for the first time in 2 years. My phone recording app ready, my documentation complete, and my conscience clear. After all, the best revenge isn't about destruction. It's about letting people finally see the truth they worked so hard to hide. And I had 127 recordings worth of truth to share. The Plaza Hotel's lobby gleamed with old money elegance at 9:45 a.m. I arrived early, wearing a charcoal gray suit that cost half my monthly rent but projected exactly the image I needed. Someone who couldn't be intimidated by wealth or status. Jennifer Reeves, my lawyer, was already waiting near the Palm Court entrance. She was a stark contrast to the Ashford family lawyers I was about to face. No designer labels, no flashy accessories, just competence wrapped in a navy pantsuit and carrying a briefcase that had seen actual courtroom battles. "They've reserved a private dining room," Jennifer informed me. "Very theatrical. Very them. How many people? Unknown. But I'm guessing they're bringing an army." She handed me a small device. "Recording pen. Keep it in your pocket. One-party consent means we can document everything they say." I took the pen, feeling its weight. Recording number 129 was about to begin. Patricia Ashford was already seated when we entered the private dining room, flanked by 3 men in expensive suits who screamed, "Corporate lawyer." Richard Ashford sat at the head of the table, his face still red from what I assumed was either rage or high blood pressure. Tristan was notably absent. "Miss Chen," Patricia began, her voice dripping with forced civility. "Thank you for coming. And you brought representation. How prudent." "Mrs. Ashford," I replied, taking a seat across from her. "You said we'd discuss a resolution. Let's discuss." Richard leaned forward, his cologne expensive and overwhelming. "Let's cut to the chase. You've caused significant damage to our family and our professional reputations. We're prepared to offer compensation in exchange for the immediate deletion of all recordings, videos, and any copies you've distributed." Jennifer pulled out a notepad. "What kind of compensation?" One of the lawyers slid a folder across the table. $2 million. Paid immediately. In exchange, Ms. Chen signs an NDA, deletes all evidence, and agrees never to discuss the Ashford family publicly or privately. I didn't even open the folder. "No." Patricia's smile faltered. "Excuse me? No. I'm not interested in your money." "Everyone has a price," Richard stated flatly. $3 million. "No, $5 million." His voice was rising. $5 million, Emma. That's more money than you'll see in your entire lifetime. Take it, and disappear." I leaned back in my chair, watching their faces. They genuinely believed this would work, that I could be bought like everything else in their world. "Mr. Ashford, let me make something very clear. You can't buy back dignity. You can't purchase the deletion of truth. And you certainly can't pay enough money to make me forget 2 years of systematic abuse." "It wasn't abuse," Patricia interjected, her voice sharp. "Tristan made some jokes. You're being overdramatic." I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memo app. "Would you like me to play the recordings again? Because I have a particularly interesting one from your charity gala last spring. The one where you told your board members that I was Tristan's project girlfriend who he was trying to fix. Should I play that one?" Patricia's face went white. "Or maybe the one where Richard told his golf partners that I was acceptable for now but not marriage material. That one's quite revealing about your family values." "Those were private conversations," Richard shouted. "Private conversations that I was present for. About me, in which you all discussed how worthless I was. I had every right to document them." I turned to Jennifer. "Legally speaking, correct?" "Absolutely correct," Jennifer confirmed, not looking up from her notes. New York is a one-party consent state. Miss Chen was present, making the recordings legal. One of the Ashford lawyers cleared his throat. We could argue invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress. You could argue that, Jennifer interrupted, but you'd lose. Because we have evidence of a 2-year pattern of abuse, harassment, and emotional manipulation. We have 127 recordings. We have video evidence. We have documented instances of gaslighting. And we have Tristan's own admission, recorded on phone last night, where he explicitly stated he systematically destroyed Emma's self-esteem to make himself feel powerful. The room went silent. You recorded that call? Patricia whispered. I record everything now, I said calmly. You taught me to document. I'm just a very good student. Richard's face was turning purple. You manipulative little... Careful, Jennifer warned. We're recording this conversation too. Any threats or defamatory statements will be added to our evidence file. The lead Ashford lawyer, a silver-haired man named Whitmore, held up his hand. Let's all take a breath. Miss Chen, let me ask you directly. What do you want? Because clearly money isn't motivating you. So what is? I'd been waiting for this question. I pulled out a document from my own folder and slid it across the table. I want Tristan to attend a minimum of 1 year of intensive therapy with a licensed counselor specializing in narcissistic personality disorder and emotional abuse. I want documented proof of attendance. Patricia started to protest, but I continued. I want a public apology from Tristan, posted on his professional social media accounts, acknowledging his behavior and taking full responsibility without qualifications or excuses. Absolutely not, Richard stated. That would destroy his career. His behavior should destroy his career, I replied. But I'm being generous. The apology can be brief, professional, and focused on growth. I'm not asking him to detail every horrible thing he did, just to acknowledge he did horrible things. I looked at Patricia. I want you to resign from your position on the board of Women Rising Foundation. An organization dedicated to empowering women shouldn't be led by someone who actively tears other women down. Patricia's face contorted with rage. How dare you? I have recordings of you, Mrs. Ashford. Recordings of you mocking female employees at your husband's firm. Recordings of you calling other women gold diggers and social climbers. Recordings of you participating in the systematic humiliation of your son's girlfriend. The Women Rising Foundation deserves better leadership. I turned to the lawyers. And I want a formal acknowledgement from Ashford & Sons Investment Group that they failed to maintain professional standards when their employees, including the founding partner and his son, participated in behavior that created a hostile environment. Those incidents occurred in private settings, Whitmore argued, not at the firm. The incidents occurred at firm events, involved firm employees, and reflect the culture of your organization. My lawyer can detail the legal implications if you'd like. Jennifer smiled. I'd be happy to. We've prepared a quite comprehensive brief on how personal conduct reflects on professional organizations, especially when those organizations market themselves on values of integrity and respect. The room fell into tense silence. The Ashford lawyers were whispering among themselves. Patricia looked like she wanted to lunge across the table. Richard was staring at me with something between fury and grudging respect. And if we agree to these terms? Whitmore finally asked. You'll delete the recordings? I'll make them private, I corrected. I'll remove them from circulation. I won't share them publicly or with additional parties, but I won't delete them. They stay in my possession as insurance against future retaliation. That's not acceptable, Richard growled. That's the offer, I replied. Take it or leave it. Because my alternative is to post all 127 recordings publicly, send the video to every business publication in New York, and let the internet decide how they feel about the Ashford family values. Patricia leaned forward, her voice venomous. You do that, and you'll be known as the vindictive ex-girlfriend who destroyed a family out of spite. Your reputation will be ruined too. Maybe, I acknowledged. Or maybe I'll be known as the woman who stood up to her abusers and provided evidence of systematic emotional abuse. Either way, I'll survive. The question is, will you? The Ashford lawyers requested a private consultation. Jennifer and I stepped outside into the hallway. You're really not going to take their money? Jennifer asked quietly. Money doesn't fix what they broke, I replied, but consequences might prevent them from breaking someone else. 20 minutes later, we were called back inside. The energy in the room had shifted. They looked defeated. We'll agree to your terms, Whitmore announced, with some modifications. For the next 2 hours, We negotiated the specific language of the agreement. Tristan's therapy would be verified through monthly confirmation letters from the therapist. His public apology would be reviewed by both legal teams before posting. Patricia would resign but could claim it was to pursue other interests. The firm would issue an internal memo about professional conduct without specifically naming names. It wasn't perfect, but it was accountability. At 2:30 p.m., I signed the agreement. The Ashfords signed. It was done. As I stood to leave, Patricia spoke one last time. Was it worth it, Emma? All of this destruction? Did it make you feel powerful? I paused at the door, considering her question. Mrs. Ashford? I didn't do this to feel powerful. I did this to stop feeling powerless. There's a difference. Outside, the spring air felt cleaner somehow. Jennifer walked me to the street corner where we'd part ways. You did good in there, she said. Most people take the money and run. Most people don't have 127 recordings, I replied. She smiled. True. But most people also don't have the strength to stand up to that much pressure. They threw everything at you: money, threats, manipulation. You didn't flinch. I flinched plenty, I admitted. I just didn't let them see it. Jennifer handed me her card. Call me if they violate any terms of the agreement. And Emma? You deserve better than what they gave you. I hope you know that now. I watched her disappear into the Manhattan crowd, then pulled out my phone. One new voicemail from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I listened. Emma. It's Tristan. His voice was hollow, defeated. They told me about the agreement. I'm starting therapy next week. And I'm working on the apology. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. Last night, when I was begging you to delete everything, you asked me why I did it. Why I treated you that way. I told you it made me feel powerful, but that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is, I was terrified. Terrified that you'd realize you were too good for me, that you'd leave. So I tried to make you believe you weren't good enough for me. If you felt worthless, you'd never leave. Except you did leave. And you were right, there was nothing there to begin with. I'm sorry, Emma. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. The voicemail ended. I saved it as recording number 130, then deleted Tristan's contact from my phone permanently. 3 weeks later, Tristan's public apology appeared on his LinkedIn profile. I'm writing this post to take accountability for my actions. Over the past 2 years, I engaged in behavior that was emotionally abusive, manipulative, and unacceptable. I systematically belittled someone who trusted me, using cruelty to mask my own insecurities. I created an environment where mockery was mistaken for humor, and control was confused with strength. I'm beginning a long journey of therapy and self-reflection to understand why I behaved this way, and to ensure I never treat another person with such disrespect. To Emma, I'm sorry. Those words are inadequate, but they're genuine. To anyone who's experienced similar treatment, you're not overreacting. You're not too sensitive. You deserve kindness. I'm committed to being better. Not for redemption, but because it's the right thing to do. The post received 2,847 comments. Some called him brave. Some called him manipulative. Some shared their own stories of abuse. I read them all. Then closed the app. Patricia's resignation from Women Rising Foundation made the society pages. The official statement said she was stepping aside to focus on family and personal growth. I wondered if anyone read between the lines. The firm's internal memo about professional conduct leaked to a business blog within days. While it didn't name names, everyone in their industry knew exactly what had prompted it. Richard's reputation took a hit. Derek's startup faced questions from investors about company culture. The Ashford family name, once synonymous with prestige, was now associated with scandal, but the most significant change was invisible. I stopped recording conversations. Not because I didn't have the right to, but because I no longer needed to. The hypervigilance, the constant documentation, the need to prove I wasn't crazy, it all faded once I was free from their influence. Therapy helped. Dr. Sarah Morrison helped me understand that my documentation wasn't paranoia, it was survival. That my actions weren't vindictive, they were self-protection. That recording everything had been a rational response to systematic gaslighting. You created evidence, she told me during one session, because they were trying to erase your reality. That's not revenge. That's preservation. 6 months after the Plaza Hotel meeting, I received an email from someone named Rebecca Winters. Dear Emma, you don't know me, but I was Tristan's girlfriend before you. I saw his apology post and I needed to reach out. For 3 years, he did the same things to me. The mockery, the gaslighting, the systematic degradation. But I never had evidence. I thought I was going crazy. When I tried to tell people about his behavior, he made me look unstable. I lost friends, questioned my own sanity, and spent years in therapy trying to understand why I couldn't make him happy. Seeing his public acknowledgement validated everything I experienced. Knowing someone else documented it, stood up to him, and made him accountable, it helped me heal in ways I didn't expect. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know that your strength helped someone you never met. Thank you. Rebecca. I read the email 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Then I forwarded it to Dr. Morrison with a simple note. This is why documentation matters. She replied within minutes. No. This is why your courage matters. The documentation was just the tool. You were the one brave enough to use it. 1 year after leaving Tristan, I was offered a position as a victim advocate at a non-profit helping women leave abusive relationships. The director had read about my case through legal channels. We need someone who understands documentation, she said during my interview. Someone who can teach women to protect themselves with evidence. Someone who knows that leaving isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming power. I accepted the job. My first client was a 4-year-old named Maria whose boyfriend did exactly what Tristan had done, made her feel crazy, denied his behavior, twisted her words. She came to our office with nothing but memories and doubt. I feel like I'm overreacting, she whispered, not meeting my eyes. Everyone says he's such a great guy. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. I pulled out my phone and showed her my folder of 130 recordings. This is what 2 years of overreacting looks like. Documented evidence. Undeniable proof. You're not crazy. You're being manipulated. And I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself. Maria started recording conversations. Within 2 weeks, she had evidence of gaslighting, emotional manipulation, and verbal abuse. Within a month, she'd left safely with documentation that protected her from his attempts to claim she was unstable. She was the first. There were many others. Each woman I helped, I thought about Rebecca's email. About how documentation doesn't just protect the person recording it, validates everyone who came before, and empowers everyone who comes after. 2 years after the Plaza Hotel meeting, I received a final message from Tristan, not directly through his therapist, as specified in our agreement. The message was simple. Tristan has completed his mandated therapy program. He wanted you to know that he's continuing treatment voluntarily. He also wanted to share that he's stepped back from client-facing roles at the firm and is working primarily in research. He believes this better suits his current abilities and removes him from positions where he might harm others. He asked me to tell you that you were right about everything. This is his therapist's independent observation, not his words. The accountability you demanded saved his life. He was on a path toward destroying not just others, but himself. The intervention was necessary. Thank you for having the courage to enforce consequences. I filed the message in my folder labeled closure, and closed my laptop. That evening, I went to dinner with friends, real friends who had supported me through everything. Friends who had never questioned my sanity, never made me feel small, never treated me like entertainment. To Emma, my friend Jessica raised her glass. The most badass person we know. I'm not badass, I replied. I'm just documented. Same thing, she grinned. We laughed, and for the first time in years, the laughter didn't have a cruel edge. It was pure, genuine, free. My phone buzzed with a notification. A woman named Sarah had left a review for our nonprofit. This organization taught me that evidence is power, that documentation isn't paranoia, that standing up to abuse isn't revenge, it's survival. They gave me the tools to leave safely, and the validation to trust my own reality. If you're questioning whether what you're experiencing is real, start recording. Your future self will thank you. I smiled and put my phone away. The old Emma, the one who apologized for existing, who made herself small, who believed she deserved the way she was treated, was gone. The new Emma understood something fundamental. The most powerful thing you can do isn't to make someone love you or respect you or treat you well. It's to document when they don't, protect yourself with evidence, and walk away with your dignity intact. Because revenge isn't about destruction. It's about refusing to be destroyed. And sometimes, The most brutal revenge is simply surviving, thriving, and helping others do the same. 3 years after everything began, I stood in front of a conference room full of victim advocates, lawyers, and social workers, presenting on the importance of evidence documentation in abuse cases. On the screen behind me, 127 recordings. How evidence empowers survivors. I didn't tell them it was my story. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. And in the end, that was the whole point. 5 years later, my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Emma. It's Rebecca. Rebecca Winters. I emailed you years ago about Tristan. Rebecca, yes, I remember. How are you? I'm good. Really good. I'm engaged, actually, to someone who treats me like I matter. But I'm calling because I just started law school, specializing in family law and domestic abuse cases. I wanted to thank you. Watching you stand up to him, seeing that accountability was possible, it changed my life. I wanted to help others the way you helped me, even without knowing me. My throat tightened. Rebecca, you don't need to thank me. You survived too. I survived, she agreed. But you showed me how to turn survival into power, how to transform pain into purpose. I'm going to help women document their abuse, fight their abusers legally, and reclaim their lives. Just like you taught Maria. Just like you've taught hundreds of women. After we hung up, I opened my old folder of recordings. 130 files. Each one a moment of pain. A piece of evidence. A step toward freedom. I'd never deleted them. Not because I wanted revenge, but because they reminded me of my own strength. Of the woman who had been called pathetic but proved she was powerful. The woman who had been told she was nothing but built something meaningful. I created a new folder and moved all 130 recordings into it. I labeled it, How I Found My Voice. Then I closed my laptop and stepped into the evening air, leaving the past where it belonged behind me, documented, but not defining me. After all, the best revenge isn't making someone suffer for their cruelty. It's refusing to let their cruelty make you suffer. And I had stopped suffering the moment I pressed record. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.